You ready? Okay. Can I get a countdown? Right. So Metroid Fusion. This is the first. Thank you. This is the first Metroid game for the Game Boy Advance, and in terms of the timeline, it's the last one. So you could sort of get to see what happens to Samus at the end of the timeline. In terms of movement, I want to stick to the ground a lot because Samus generally walks faster than she does anything else. So I'm not going to be jumping too much except for certain sections. Also, this is really hard. Ah, yes.
All right.
That is genuinely like one of the hardest rooms in the game.
It's not uncommon to reset a lot for that particular set of wall jumps just because it's sort of awkward. You have to wall jump off very small platforms. Speaking of wall jumps, you can like not single wall jump in this game. You have to move away from the wall every time you wall jump, which makes platforming a bit different in this game compared to, say, Super Metroid or Zero Mission. Also, there's no real like overall goal for this game like there is in Super or Zero Mission. It's more like it's objective based. So a lot of the time I'll be following what the computer tells me to do and sort of move forward with the story in that way. That gives a lot of dialogue. So that's why I opted for English, since it's a little more interesting to watch, even though it's slower.
And it's gonna be more what people are used to, most viewers of the stream.
Right. Generally you go by in-game time for this game, so the in-game time I stopped during text anyway, so it shouldn't matter.
So if you wanted, you could leave all the text on the screen so the people at home could follow the story?
Yeah, I could do it real slow, but I mean, I have an estimate to make, so it's probably a bad idea. Also, I'm terrible at text matching in English, so it's going to be a little slow anyway. You'll have plenty of time to read.
So in general, the start of this game is pretty slow. There's mostly dialogue and like a couple of enemies, and you don't have any equipment. And it's just running through these very basic rooms. But it picks up later on.
You have a ledge grab at the beginning, which I'll be using a lot, since it's generally pretty fast, and you can just barely reach some platforms with it.
Something you also see a lot is right as he passes a ledge, he'll shoot a shot. This effectively makes you land instantly and saves a couple of frames at like pretty much every ledge.
Also, since we have an elevator, should we do a quick roll call? I don't think we did. I'm Eagle.
I'm Dragonfangs.
I'm Mobius Man. And this is Lord of Lou, but you can't hear him.
Oh, okay.
So you have to take my word for it. 2 out of the 4 of us play this game.
Which is pretty good.
Yeah, not a bad average. I'm mostly here to tell you not to play this game and to play Zero Mission instead.
It's a noble cause.
Yeah.
You can do a quick donation if you want. There's nothing here.
Okay, hello, hello. We got $50 from Boxmeister.
Hey.
Saying, greetings from the Netherlands. This is an awesome game. Shoutouts to Eagle and the people on the couch. Are we going to eat a 104 tonight?
No.
Thank you so much for the donation. Good luck with the round, Eagle.
Thank you, Boxmeister.
Yeah, he's a Fusion player as well.
So something that's going to come up a lot throughout the run is something we refer to as doubles. There are a couple of recurring enemies that have really long invincibility periods whenever you damage them. Pretty much after every boss fight, there's like a core thing that comes, and it has like a 3-second invincibility period every time it's hit. So we want to try and hit it with 2 missiles at the same time to do double the damage.
I'm grabbing my GameCube controller here because I have to do a double on an idol in a minute. And generally I prefer the way the buttons are laid out on the GameCube controller, so I'm sort of juggling 2 controllers at the same time. Which you can do on Game Boy Player for some reason.
So to do this, it has to press A and B on the same frame, and it's generally more comfortable on the GameCube controller. Nice. Oh, I got it, nice.
So there are 2 different kinds of double radio clapping, or whatever. Doubles on the Core X are like a lot more lenient. You have to get 2 missiles inside quite a tall hitbox at the same time, whereas doubles on an I-door, they have to hit in exactly the same place on the same frame, so it's pretty hard.
Thankfully, we only have 2 I-doors where we need to do doubles, so it's not going to be that big of a deal. That was a double right
Oh
there.
no.
He didn't get any missile drops. This is pretty bad.
Give me a missile, thank you. That can happen sometimes and it's somewhat unfortunate. If he does a roll, which is random by the way, you'll probably end up wasting a few missiles and then you're a little short. But usually he drops a missile when he dies. He didn't this time, which is pretty unfortunate.
That's also a pretty common or recurring theme in this game. There's a lot of RNG spread out everywhere. A lot of bosses are pretty much have like they turn invincible for some time. You have to wait completely randomly, or you have to wait for the weak point to open up. But also before pretty much every boss, there's an eye door, and it can decide to shoot a beam or not, and it's pretty much a 50-50. But there's a maximum of 4 beams in a row before it will open up. And if it does a beam, you just have to wait until it opens.
So you have to win 4 coin flips twice in a row in order to get a good run.
It's pretty much.
You have to win a lot of coin flips
You have
in
to
this
do
game.
one.
Also, this is 100%. I'm not sure we mentioned it before, but basically I'll be grabbing all the items. And that's really all I have to do 100%. I don't have to like visit all rooms or anything.
Maybe next year, 100% map.
A weird quirk with Metro Fusion is that main upgrades do not count towards the percentage counter, but there are no known ways to skip any of the major items as it is. We have found a couple of ways to technically do it, but the game kind of freaks out if you grab things out of order.
Yeah.
It doesn't really know what to do. So we have to pick up all the major items.
And we have to follow the game's order of doing so.
Yep.
And because of the structure of the game, it's like a somewhat long Metroid game. Even the 80% category is sort of long at an hour, 10, 13 minutes, roughly.
It is one of the nice things about learning the game is that you pretty much play through the natural route
Yeah,
anyway in the
definitely.
speedrun, so it's not hard to pick up.
Yeah, there are no real major, like, super important tricks you have to learn. Pretty much everything is just tiny time savers. There are a lot of them, and some of them are really hard, but there's nothing that you really have to do in order to be able to speedrun the game. So in Sector 1, even in 100%, we're kind of low on ammo. So it's one thing that's really important is to try to not get hit at all, because as long as you have full health, you are guaranteed to get missile drops, which are these green X give back missiles. If you're not full on missiles but you're full on health, you're guaranteed green tops. So we want to stay at full health. After this sector for 100%, it's gonna be pretty okay for resources throughout the run.
I'll generally be using missiles to kill everything in this sector because our beam is not particularly strong yet. That will change. We'll talk about that now. Oh, okay. We'll do this.
You'll see missiles are doing a lot of work too. I think missiles pretty much one-shot every enemy in the sector, I think.
I can't think of any that gets too
Except
strong.
the
Stabilizers.
The stabilizers take 3.
It looks like I'm fine on missiles, but I preferably want at least like 1 drop.
It's
in
a
this
bit
room.
tight.
Yeah.
You need some drops here.
Is it random how long the doors take to open after you clear the room with stabilizers?
Sort of.
Okay,
They have like
that's-
yeah, it's random. They have like a couple of different timings they could have. I think like 5 or something. I might be completely wrong there, but I think there are. It chooses randomly between
Alright.
a couple of times. That's really low on missiles.
I'm low on missiles, so I'm gonna attempt it double once, and if I don't get it, well, I'll have to settle for singles. I'm not sure.
No, you didn't shoot to miss. No.
Okay. I got lucky anyway.
So another thing that's sort of important against these cores is to try to kill them as close as possible to wherever they'll end up and be...
Okay.
Oh, that was one
Nice,
level. Nice.
yeah.
So you want to kill them really close to wherever they end up spawning later, so they take a while to travel and might just stick around and like hover around their spot for a few seconds.
So anyone want to explain charge beam?
It's really good.
What else is this to say?
Charge beam is super strong in this game. Right now, even just the basic charge beam it fires 2 pellets. It's kind of hard to tell. Like this, the shot is built up in 2 segments, and each segment from a charge shot does the same damage as a missile. So it does a lot of damage right now. It also has a tiny flare effect right at Samus's arm cannon. So if you hit with that effect, so if you hit like really point blank, it does an additional piece of damage, which means we can now one-shot Idors with charge beam already. And the charge beam could one-shot these stabilizers like it did on the other one, which they used to take 3 missiles.
And the boss we just fought was a I-beam core. I don't know what you actually call them.
Yeah,
So, which is kind of like a 3rd type of double missile. They have a different timing as well.
yeah.
And some of them are actually impossible to double, is that right?
The wave beam, actually there's not enough space in the room you're in to make it happen. Doubles become harder later on when you get missile upgrades, because as your missiles get stronger, they also have a longer cooldown period between shots, and they start moving faster, so it's harder to make them overlap each other.
I'm moving from one sector to the next, so if you want to do the donation, that's fine.
All right. We got $20 from my boy saying,
Hey.
I donate
Hey,
to
my boy.
Infusion because COD Power is too lazy to come around Super and nobody wanted to run the real best Metroid game, Zero Mission. Glad to see the GBA Metroid community still kicking hard. Thank you, my boy. And we got $50 from Kirby Master.
Hey.
Hey Eagle, this is Kirby Master. Make sure there's lots of Magoo in this run. And may the Idor Force be with you.
Thank you, Kirby.
How many beams did we get on the first one?
1?
Yeah, it was a pretty good one. It was like 2 on the second.
No, it was 1 on the second, for sure.
It was 1 on the second too. That's pretty good so far.
Alright, let's go.
You're sort of expected to have 1 beam per opening of Idor, so 3 beams on the first 2 Idors and 1 beam for the rest of the Idors. So this is so far pretty good RNG, but there's still a lot left.
Scary.
Oh no.
The SAX is sort of a recurring character that'll appear throughout the game. We can't damage it until the very end, so for the most part we're going to run from it. Sometimes it's easier to get by her than others. I'll probably chicken out at one of them and play it really safe, but for the rest it's pretty standard to get by her.
Yeah, we'll get there later. It's later on in this sector. There's a segment where you could run past her, and it's not terribly hard, but if you screw it up, you die, and you so that's like the run is over straight up.
And I would like a single segment run, so that's probably going to be my decision.
So this area is where I died a lot as a child, and I'm sure a lot of people did. Those slugs do a ton of damage.
As you can see,
Yes. Wow, okay.
But you can one-shot them with charge beam.
And 2 missiles. That's not a one-shot.
there we go. I thought that was supposed
It's
to
not
work.
hard, is it? Yeah, some of the enemy patterns in Sector 2 are generally pretty awkward when you play 100% because I have to go out of the way to collect some items, which just sort of puts enemy in a rough spot for me to avoid. So I'll probably purposely take damage once, twice still, but dying shouldn't be a concern, I hope.
Bombs in Fusion are generally pretty terrible compared to other Metroid games.
They have a very, very long fuse, as you can tell.
They take a long time to explode. And
just sort of gotta wait every time.
they also, it's practically impossible to do mid-air bomb jumps in this game, which is something new. Like in both Super Metroid and Zero Mission, bomb jumps is sort of a thing. But in this, it's almost, it's the tiniest boost, and it's useful in exactly one place in the entire run.
They made the bomb hitbox like twice as big in Zero Mission.
Oh, there's no one. Okay. That was nice. Thank you, 100%.
So there you can see the charge beam kind of hitting the wall, and only one of the pellets made it over to the enemy. So you had to finish it off with a normal missile.
It's sort of a hard trick coming out. I hope I get it. If not, it's not a big deal.
No.
Okay. If you're really fast, you can make it back before that respawns, but I'm not going to make it now at all. It's mainly like difficult because there's a lot of directional input at once. And it's kind of a bad time loss because bombs in this game are super duper slow.
When I talk on about the boss coming up, Sasabi is another big RNG time sink in the game. He is like a big worm thing. And he needs to jump and do an attack in the air before you can damage him. And he can decide to just jump back and forth a number of times before he does this. So it ends up being a difference between, I think it's between 3 and 12 jumps. That's the worst possible RNG for that door.
Revenge of the Idol.
So the difference between a 3 jump Sasabi and a 12 jump Sasabi is a huge deal in time. See where it ends up. 2,
wow, that's
3.
already pretty bad.
3, yeah. You need to hit him 3 times, or 4 times for the fourth time. He always does one. 4. So this is terrible.
Nice.
Oh, whoops.
Oh.
No.
So if
I
I
didn't
tink,
even kill him.
if I tink a missile, it sort of has to fall off screen, which also takes forever. And you can only have 2 missiles on screen in this game, so like if that happens, I can't shoot a missile for a long time, and that's what happened there.
Yeah, even the missiles that aren't active anymore, the ones that had things that are falling off screen, count as being on screen, and you can't fire anything until they're off.
It wasn't that good.
I mean, the core was good.
Yeah. Normally that core takes 4 missiles, but I hit 2 missiles twice, so. Saves quite a bit of time because the invulnerability period is quite long.
Oh yeah, the lucky missile.
Nice.
You can sneak a missile onto that enemy. It does nothing except look sort of cool.
So we get high jump pretty early in this game compared to other Metroids,
definitely.
and you can jump pretty high, but we're still going to do a lot of like wall jump tricks and cancelling jumps by shooting, just because.
I didn't even know you could do that.
Samus's full jump is really slow.
So this is an encounter. You could technically just run down to her, get hit, and then keep running and sort of survive. With when you have the energy tanks you have in 100%, but it's like I said, if you mess it up at all, you die instantly.
The way she behaves when you get close to her is very dependent on how fast you get to her, and like since there's a little drop, it's not always consistent how fast you get to her. So sometimes she'll turn around and shoot at you, and that's really scary because while it can jump over her beam, it's sort of a tight window. And if you get hit one more time, then you're taken down to 1 health, and then she fires a missile at you, and if you don't avoid that, well, it's game over.
Nice bit of story.
You end up going up and down these elevators a lot, moving between the sectors. It sort of gets confusing sometimes because you tend to autopilot these really hard. And thank God there are blinking lights telling you where to go, otherwise you'd have to pay attention. But when you get down here, sometimes, at least when I'm running a game, I forget which sector I'm in. After doing the text, it's like, wait, oh, it's sector 4. I need to do this, and it's like because you have to enter, you have to enter the rooms differently in every sector. A lot of them you have to know. You need to like know what you're doing when you get in there. Sector 4 in particular is pretty easy because it's the only one that enters by going from the right.
So they talked about electrocuted water. That's not an issue at all. We'll briefly enter it just because it's faster, but it does very, very little damage. I have to do quite a few detours in Sector 4 in order to get a couple of items because generally we want to get all the items in Sector 4 early because there's no real good opportunity to go back into Sector 4 to collect them.
That was weird damage.
It was. It worked out. There's a lot of obscure item locations in this game, like just now I had to crawl into a wall. It'll get worse.
Yeah, the sort of cleanup route for this game, it's not like as complicated as some other Metroid games, but like you get to enter all the sectors again, but there are some areas that are really slow to get to from where you come in second time, so there's a lot of stuff that makes sense to get on your first pass.
Definitely. This boss is great. Does anyone want to explain why?
So Ceres, the next boss, is a big example of why Charge Beam is really, really strong. This boss goes invincible and goes into super speed whenever it gets hit for like 4 or 5 seconds. And it takes about 5 normal missiles to kill, but it only takes 2 Charge Beam shots if you hit him point blank. It's gonna hit 1 point blank shot here. This first pattern is always the same. You can always get kind of 1 shot. From this point on, he's completely random and does whatever he wants. We want to get 1 other point blank shot. That's a good pattern if you can. Yeah, nice. That's perfect. Nice.
Didn't even pause buffer.
Who needs it? Well, I do need it once later, but...
It's a good fight.
Good fight, yeah. There's technically not enough space to start Shine Spark there, but if you just sort of mash, you can sort of Shine Spark me there, despite the fact that there's not really room for it.
If you're not too familiar with these games in general, a Shine Spark is something where if you get running in speed booster speed and crouch, you enter this powered up state where you're able to start a Shine Spark, which lets you fly in any of 5 directions, left, right, up, or diagonally up to any left or right.
Yeah, and if you haven't played a Metroid game since '94, then like they buffed Shine Sparking a lot since Super Metroid. It no longer damages you, and you can store out of a Shine Spark and do another one later, which you'll see a lot of in a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can. If you Shine Spark into a slope, you'll start moving. You start moving at speed versus speed again. So you can store another one and do pretty long Shine Spark chains, pretty long and complicated ones.
It's pretty cool.
And a lot of those complicated Shine Spark chains is what we'll have to do to get some of the items later in the game. I'm gonna try doing a low height Shine Spark here, which is how I Shine Spark just over the ground. If I don't get it, it's not a big deal, but it does look cool. Yes.
So when you do a Shine Spark normally, Samus kind of floats off the air for about half a block of height. And if you do it on normally right there, you're gonna run right into one of the platforms. But if you do it from falling right above the ground, she can fit into this small space. Okay, perfect. Yeah.
What the hell?
Oh, sick. So storing your Shine Spark that way, when you run off an edge, the very frame you land on the ground, you have 1 frame to press down and get a Shine Spark. There's no real point to doing it there except that it's flashy.
Yeah, it's really flashy.
It has some usage later, but not very much really.
I mean, do we think it's like a bug that you can charge when landing, or?
It could be a hidden feature. It's still there in Zero Mission, and they fixed
That's
a lot of
true,
bugs.
yeah.
They fixed a lot of bugs for Zero Mission.
Yeah, I'm also playing the English version, which has most bugs out of all Fusion versions. In the Japanese version, they fixed a lot of things. For instance, you can actually go out of bounds in the English version using like a trick with respawning blocks. That's not useful in this category at all. Well, could potentially be, I suppose. But it's very, very difficult to do.
Yeah, over the last like year, we've found a lot more broken stuff in Fusion than in any other time compared to since the game came out. But I mean, it's slowly starting to become useful, but it's still not very useful.
It's just tiny time saver in there, and there's like still nothing major.
Ah, perfect elevator.
This is kind of something you don't realize when you're playing casually, but it's actually really hard to stop speed boosting. So you can't just press down to get down the elevator because you're gonna store a Shine Spark. So you wanna exit speed booster state by, there are a couple of different ways. What Eagle is doing is he's jumping, and then as soon as he leaves the ground he shoots, so he lands right away. It's kind of hard to do that quickly. You got a really fast one there.
Basically, if it looks like Samus doesn't leave the ground at all, then you did something pretty close to like a perfect elevator. Let me see if I can do the jump this time.
So here's another area where a frame perfect Shine Spark is useful in any percent. In 100% we have we have this extra missile pack to pick up, so it doesn't actually help at all. This jump is really hard too. Oh, nice.
Nice, yeah. You have to like wall jump at the very, very edge of that platform, and it's somewhat difficult.
So you're going for Shine Break, right?
Yes.
So if you travel across some speed boosted blocks on the ground that are breakable, and if you store a Shine Spark right on the edge of a standable on a standable block and a speed boosted block, you can still get a Shine Spark and destroy the speed block and still use it. Okay, went too far. It's really precise. So he could have used the Shine Spark to go up instead of climbing this ladder.
It doesn't actually save that much time though, because Shine Spark have sort of a startup lag and an end lag when you hit something.
Yeah, they're not really as fast as they seem.
That was the famous unskippable missile tank, if you're not familiar with that. Which, until a couple of years ago, was the only missile tank that needed to be collected to complete the game.
And now we have two different ways of skipping it.
This spark is also interesting, where you're gonna try to slide. That might be good. We want to try to slide for a bit to make the data room start like activating, so you have more time left on this chance. Oh, you got it! Wow, that's really hard. It also saves. It saves like half a second or something.
There's a lot of small time savers.
But you have just enough time to get that going again. You also ran all the way to the left in that room in order to activate the boss coming up. If you run a tiny bit longer, you have to activate a kind of cutscene that tells you that something happened, but they're not connected, so you can activate the boss without it looking like anything. This boss is not particularly hard if you do it correctly.
Yes.
But it's like you want to get a quick kill, and if you get a quick kill, it's oh no.
Nice. Okay.
Sorry for it.
And then everything goes wrong when we mess it up.
So you really want to hit him at the start to manipulate his AI pattern.
I'm gonna make him move over here, just because when he dies, he has to like walk all the way over to the right, and it's a little faster if he jumps some of the way himself. Ideally, if I had done the boss right, then he would have died really far right anyway, but it didn't happen. It has like a very, very, very small sweet spot for hitting it, so it's sort of difficult to do out of a jump. But that's how you want to start the fight, because then he does something different.
We have like a really specific setup for killing him. He's very, very, he always does the same thing, so we know if you do it properly, he'll always die after like 5 seconds, because we have it down to a science.
You can do a donation now, just moving from sector to sector again.
Alright, we got a $5 donation from Ross. This is a 110.
It is. It will be.
It might be.
So now we have super missiles, by the way. Super missiles do, I think they're 3 times the damage of a normal missile.
Yes.
But they also fire way, way slower. So in most cases, the slower fire rate isn't that important, but specifically for doubles, it's really important, and it makes doubles way harder from now on. And every subsequent missile upgrade we get makes them harder as well. But now for a tiny bit of time, missiles are actually going to do more damage than the charge beam.
For a fleeting moment. Nice.
Oh wow. That was new.
So that's what happens if I let go of the direction I'm running when I jump.
Sector 6 is supposed to be kind of a really scary sector, casually. The only real enemies around here is blue X's that chase you around, and if they hit you, they do a lot of damage. It's like 80 damage if they hit you. They're really easy to avoid though if you know where they are and how they move. So they're not really a problem in a speedrun.
And you can stun them if you're being
Oh wait.
So we place a bomb there to destroy a bomb block. That will remain destroyed, and we can go into the actual tunnel later on.
It's mainly so we don't have to wait for the bomb fuse.
Yeah.
And I think the X's always move in the same manner, so like I don't really have to worry about it because I know where it's gonna be.
It's close enough. It's like it's not hard to outrun them at all. Also, an interesting quirk is that during okay,
Wow, that worked.
the item. Okay, that was weird. But during the item collection text, time is still running. Like in-game time is still running, so it's still adding up. But also the bomb fuse is still running. So that is specifically the only upgrade that actually, like the only energy tank that actually saves time to pick up. Because you really can let the bomb clear it out faster.
I can't really do anything here but wait for SIX to place a power bomb, so it's just sort of a place to wait. Not a particularly scary chase sequence otherwise.
So the boss coming up does not take any damage from missiles, which is convenient since we just upgraded our missiles. So we're gonna have to use the charge beam again. Try to get... This boss has... It's kind of hard to hit. It has a lot of satellites surrounding it and everything's in the way and stuff. So the thing you want to do is you take a hit and doing invincibility or doing damage knockback, you end up inside the enemy and try to shoot a charge beam from there to get the max damage. Like so. I think that was good.
Yeah, that was good.
So it takes 4 hits if you do correct. Nice.
Ah, that was not a double. I'm trying to make it like swerve into my missiles in order to get doubles, and I got 2, which is fine. And I want to hit the sweet spot for the last one.
That was a really fast sweet spot.
Now we get the ugliest suit in the game.
I'm not sure. Gravity suit is pretty ugly too.
I don't know, man. Mustard suit, as we call it.
So now we are now able to absorb blue X's, which give you a lot of health back. They're pretty useful. A cute note in the game is that until now the blue X's have chased you down and try to do damage. But after that specific room, the blue X's learn that they're not dangerous anymore, and they now run away from you.
As so. You can still stun them, but I have no need of them right now. So.
Ah, bad luck.
Those coughing-like enemies are really, really annoying because they have 4 different patterns, I think. And when you shoot them, they shoot up poison gas, and you get damaged by that. So you actually want to not kill them, because then you have to wait for the poison gas.
But they're always in the way.
Yeah.
Every time.
Every
These
single
stupid.
time. Also, I'm repeating the trick I did earlier with placing a bomb against the wall, just so I don't have to wait for it later in the game.
Yeah, there are 2 bomb tunnels in this one on each side. We should be good for another donation as we're just switching sectors.
Right, we got another $50 from a familiar name. Hey Eagle, hey Dragon Fangs, Kirby Master here again.
Hello.
Congrats on the awesome Ceres fight and data room spark. I'm looking forward to you magooing Sector 6 boss. May the Frankersy be with you during emergency in Frankersy.
Thank you, Kirby. Do you think he was disappointed I didn't do SAX again?
Probably.
Yeah.
He wouldn't say so though.
You can do another one if there's still donations. No. Never mind. Switching sectors gets pretty tedious sometimes when you have to run really, really far. And there's just a lot of doors and it wastes a lot of time.
I mean, I don't want to say it's enough to ruin the game, but it's pretty
It gets very
It's
tedious.
pretty lame when you have to run all the way across.
Especially on subsequent playthroughs.
Do another elevator.
Yeah.
Read the text.
It'd be nice if there was a text skip option for this game.
Speedrun mode.
Yeah.
Try.
No. I'm gonna enjoy supers for as long as I have them. Yeah, now we get sort of a... Well, I wouldn't quite call it an upgrade, but it does something.
Let us do things.
It also let us not do some things. So it's more like a side grade.
Side grade. Sure.
Look at how easy I can like kill these with just a single missile, for instance. That's about to change soon.
There's also a weird quirk I don't think we mentioned, and any enemy you can stand on. So any frozen enemy, any of these weird ball things, like cocoon, like enemies are weird. But in any of those, if you just jump up against it and reach the top of it, you're gonna land instantly, even if you could jump way higher. You just stop at the edge, which is really actually useful because it's a really fast way to land.
Nice. So here's the upgrade I was talking about, which is ice missiles. And ice missiles are more sort of a utility kind of thing now. You can't directly kill an enemy. Well, there's some enemies you can, but generally enemies are going to be frozen even if the shot would normally kill them. So there's a lot of enemies now that I can't one-shot anymore because they'll be frozen first.
So ice missiles do more damage than supers, and they had the added effect of freezing, but you can no longer one-shot anything with missiles.
Yeah, I'm gonna wait for that. Okay. Falling down here is scary because if I do fall down, then I'll have to reload the room, and that takes a long time. Oh,
No.
too quick.
Now handling these waivers is kind of annoying because it takes a while to charge a charge beam, and they come pretty quickly, so they're taking a lot of damage now.
I mean, it's not like I have to worry
Yeah,
about
it's fine.
I'm gonna attempt this.
You're gonna do this
time.
now?
Yeah.
The jump is really hard too. Just like, it's not like something. Oh, see, you can.
And then I forgot to charge my beam.
There's a thing there where you want to release the charge beam while she's climbing up the edge, so it hits the enemy halfway there, and then you have enough time to charge another beam to kill the second one.
Chad, can you tell me what time it is?
Chat knows what's up. Everyone please follow along. Don't worry, we'll be back to standard Twitch chat in just a few minutes.
But I mean, it helps me, so you should totally spam it. You know what it is. Anyway, you have a timer here to sort of get to a certain console to disable something. I forget what it is.
Trying to blow up the station.
Right, but the timer is extremely lenient, so I don't have anything to worry about.
I mean, the time takes into account that you don't have no idea where you're going
Right.
on a casual playthrough. So since we do know where we're going, there's a lot of time we don't have anything to worry about.
missiles do they? If you're fast about finding the missiles there, you can avoid standing on the enemy for a little bit. It's not a big deal, but I mean it helps.
So those fire plumes aren't really dangerous. They're not gonna knock you off the ladder or anything. But taking damage obviously slows you down on time. They're completely random too. So most of the time you just kind of run through it. If you take damage, you take damage. It's not a big deal.
Trim is really badly designed in my opinion. Sometimes when you freeze, I mean not, if you know what you're doing it never happens, but when I do it, if you freeze that stretchy you actually like clip through him in a way that means you can't get to the top. It's really annoying.
Yeah. So you want to try to get doubles in these as well?
I couldn't tell if I got
I
one.
had no idea.
I guess I didn't.
That was one.
Yeah.
So you can sort of tell by there being two missile effects, like the ice snowflake thing. But sometimes they overlap completely and you can't tell at all.
429, is that?
I think that's like 430 is kind of what you're going for most of the time.
I think the best time is like 4:36 or 7 or 8 or something. But that generally requires that the door opens like immediately. I mean, I didn't exactly play this perfectly or anything, but I mean it helps.
Okay, I can't actually see chat, just to state the obvious, but the emergency is over now.
Return to your standard Twitch chat procedures. Ah. Oh, come on.
They're not being nice. So jumping like this is faster than climbing the ladder.
Yeah, because climbing takes forever. When we get an upgrade later in the game, we can climb a little bit faster, but that's not for a while.
Can you remember, did Kill the Animals win at SGDQ a couple of weeks ago?
I think it did, yeah.
Yeah, so this next bit doesn't make any sense
No.
for those following the storyline.
It's not canon.
You're following the speed marathon
Yeah.
storyline?
In an alternate timeline where Save the Animals won,
We retconned it.
we're going to see them again.
Well, unfortunately, there's no real choice here. We have to save them. Which also means sort of waiting for them to get their asses in gear. And, well, they're not always cooperative. Also, this elevator is really long.
It's an extra long elevator.
Yeah. There's a reason for that.
Yeah, there is. So going through these segments are way faster now with high jump and, well, mostly high jump really. That's really the only thing that helps. So you're not supposed to be reached that ledge like that, but it's, you can do, I don't think we mentioned jump extends.
I don't think we did that.
But if you're in, we might as well say this first.
The spin animation.
If you're in a spin animation and you shoot your beam, you kind of reset your momentum, and that lets you gain a tiny bit of horizontal distance. So you can do that a couple of times there to get to that ledge. These Aticuns are not playing nice. It wasn't that bad, really.
No, it's okay.
And we just saw a successful shine break like the one we tried earlier.
This one has a really easy setup where you basically like run past the blocks, so it's pretty easy to do. As long as you start running from a certain spot. But it helps because otherwise you have to deal with a really awkward climb past some enemies.
So Etacoons are the blue ones
Small,
and the
yeah.
Boras are
The
green.
core of the bird.
I never know.
I always forget to.
Don't you know your lore? Do you not keep track of the animals you're saving?
I find if you just give them names, it's harder to kill them.
We're now going back to Sector 5 again. Sector 5 is sort of really confusing when doing speedruns. More so in 90% than in 100%, but because you go to that area like 3 or 4 times and you end up pretty much going through the same rooms, you kind of get confused as to where you are in the run, and you can end up going the wrong way sometimes. Like nothing changes in between the last time we were there and this time, really.
Yeah, it's just a matter of mentally keeping track of what part of the game am I at?
Yeah. That was really fast. Wow.
Yeah.
You're either doing this like perfectly or kind of screwing up completely. It's in between this room.
This is the one Adam text that puts me over the edge.
Oh, that's one, yeah.
I'll show it to you again, just in case.
You've been here before, but it's over here. Go. This Shine Spark is kind of tricky. But Eagle pulls it off, no problem. This is way, way more useful later on. Right now it's just a pretty small time save.
Oh, also, I got wide beam a while ago. My beam is now 3 parts. I don't think we mentioned that. It doesn't really matter too much at this point, but you sort of need to keep track of like how much you hit an enemy, I guess.
Yeah, it's bigger now, so it's like 3 parts, and it covers a wider area, so you can hit enemies on the ground while shooting straight, and it does a bit more damage if you hit with every part of it.
Yes.
Nice.
That wall jump is sort of tricky because you need to wall jump off a very specific spot, but I did a little jump extend at the end just to sort of make sure I got there. I guess it's not that bad, but if you fall down, it takes a while to get back up.
Also, that was the first of this game's fake ammo containers, a fake energy tank that ends up being an enemy and attacks you if you get close to it.
Also, I have power bombs now.
Yeah.
Oh, right. There's a lot of things happening at the same time.
Power bombs also have a really slow fuse, and that sort of makes them limited in terms of killing stuff, but there's a lot of sort of blocks you need to destroy with power bombs. So they see a fair amount of usage. I also have a lot. Whoa.
Oh.
Whoa! What the hell?
Okay. I guess I didn't place the power bomb high enough.
Where you like started just...
Anyway.
Okay. Ignore that.
Power bombs have some weird properties in this game. I don't know if this is a programming error or what, but you can't power grip the ledges while there's an explosion going on.
Well, that's intentional.
Yeah? How do you know?
Because why would it be unintentional? It's because they explode.
Why does it make any sense?
She loses her grip. It's an explosion.
Okay.
Falls down.
Alright, whatever. And you also can't pause while there's an explosion on the screen.
Right. The pausing doesn't really matter, but the fact that you can't grab ledges while there's a power bomb explosion sort of comes into play a couple of times. But you can usually play around it, so it's not that big of a deal. This room is really annoying. You need to cross some crumble blocks by jumping up to frozen rippers. You can see the blocks underneath me are sort of destroying as I touch them. And if you fall down, it's sort of like a long way around.
Like if you freeze them in a bad spot, you have to wait for them to thaw out so you can freeze them again. And
Yeah, that also takes forever.
it's really annoying.
Ah, I hit it, sweet. You can destroy some bomb blocks if you like in a speed booster state, and it just sort of helps a little bit that I destroy one of them from jumping in a speed booster state there.
Some hidden passageways. There are a lot of those with power bombs.
So this is probably the only Metroid game where there's no ammo management needed whatsoever for power bombs.
Yeah.
They give you a lot.
We start out with 10 power bombs, and I already got 2 tanks, I think. Or maybe 3 even. But the point is we have a lot already, and we're gonna end up with like 74?
72, I think, is the final count.
Yeah. Point is, we're gonna have more than power bombs than we ever need.
And we also get a full refill of power bombs after every boss.
Yeah.
So you can pretty much just power bomb everything you want to. It's just that they're not that useful. But we tend to use power bombs for the slightest advantages. Just because there's no reason to save them.
Speaking of refills, there's one thing. After every boss door, there's a guaranteed red X.
Yeah.
And for the first few bosses, we pick that up just to make sure we have enough missiles for the boss. But for the later ones, it's actually faster to run through the door before it spawns because you don't actually need the ammo.
Yeah, and 100% we have so many missiles that we're basically never gonna run out unless we do some really weird stuff with it. I could probably be wasting missiles on the route to the next boss and I'd still have enough. That's random, unfortunately.
More RNG.
It doesn't really matter
You
because
still got a speed booster.
yeah. In any percent, you want to run through those speed blocks below because it's slightly faster. But in 100%, we have to pick up the missile tank anyway, so it doesn't matter too much. I'm waiting here for the power bomb explosion to destroy those blocks to the left of me.
And we don't want to save here. Saving takes a tiny bit of time. There's a tiny animation showing you save, so...
And at this point in the run, I'm not really in danger of dying like ever.
No.
Well, I mean, we'll see.
You never know. It is a marathon after all.
You sort of want to make a little path for yourself by shooting those branches or whatever in a specific way. I didn't do a very good job of it, but it's still better than falling down.
These enemies are really awkward. You kind of want to if you kill the first pirate, he's gonna respawn right above here. So you want to leave him alone, so when you kill the third pirate, it spawns up there instead of on this level.
Where he's gonna be in the way later.
Where if he stays there, he's gonna be shooting at you as you're waiting for this eye door to open.
Wow, that took forever.
And this run started out with good RNG and it's not followed up.
Nope.
So this boss is vulnerable at the start of the fight before you can see him.
You actually have to jump up there in order for the missiles not to despawn off screen.
Nice.
Nice, that was actually good. That's also random, how many times he has to go up and down before he decides to open his mouth and we can hit him. For a maximum of 4, I think. Also getting caught makes him, he has to move all the way down to the floor and back up again. Getting caught and shaking out, if you shake out quickly enough, it ends up being faster than having him go down manually.
Alright, I got 2 doubles. That's just something.
That was a pretty good acquisition. This fight is a big trouble for many people casually, myself included. I still have trouble with this boss as a speedrunner. So.
Space jump is basically a thing that allows you to jump forever, and unlike Super Metroid, even if you fall a fair bit, you can still jump anyway. But you do have to wait a little while. You can't just spam the A button and like repeatedly gain height that way. You have to fall a little bit before you can jump again. And the timing is sort of awkward, especially if you don't want to do it optimally. And if you do fall a little bit, then you do end up wasting a fair bit of time because you don't move that fast when going up.
In Super and Zero Mission, space jump is like a super powerful endgame item, but because fusion is mostly done like indoors, you know, it doesn't actually let you go to crazy places that you wouldn't be able to go otherwise.
Right. You're mostly blocked off by other things.
This is also a really scary chase sequence casually, but we kind of just do it.
Yeah, I'm never really in danger.
If you know where you're going, it's not that hard.
I'm placing another power bomb here and just waiting for it to go off, since I need to go back through this room later in the game. That power bomb is mainly just to kill a couple of enemies that would otherwise be really annoying.
Another secondary effect that comes from having space jump is that any effect that would have you wall jump, you can't wall jump anymore for one thing, but any effect that would give you the same kind of jump, so jumping from hanging off a ledge or jumping off a ladder, it's not going to give you a regular jump instead of a wall jump, so you can actually move back and forth normally, which means we can jump up ladders basically the same way we do single wall jump in other Metroid games.
This is a pretty simple boss, especially in 100%.
Is this the only boss to take damage from power bombs?
It might be.
It's the only boss where it's relevant. This boss has the most health of any, sort of. That also takes damage from missiles, where missiles are an optimal way to damage it.
I'm sort of falling down into it in order to hit a double missile, and it takes 5 shots, so that was pretty good in 3 rounds.
So that boss actually has a lot of ammo management and stuff in other categories because it has so much health. But in 100% we just shoot as many missiles until it dies because we just have all of them.
Yeah, that boss is basically like the ammo bottleneck in 80%.
Yeah.
So we got Plasma Beam from that guy?
Yeah.
Plasma Beam is really good. Anyone want to explain why?
Plasma Beam pierces through enemies, so they go through multiple enemies. It also does damage per frame. It's inside something, so for anything with a larger hitbox, it's going to do more damage, and you want to make sure it hits in an angle that makes it stay inside enemies for as long as possible.
There's one enemy in particular has
One
quite a large
enemy.
hitbox.
Yeah, that's coming up later. We'll get to that. Also interesting that the next boss coming up, right after you get Plasma Beam, actually negates the plasma effect and only takes a single frame of damage from it, which means it does less damage than White Beam did against that particular boss.
That's sort of a recurring theme, isn't it? You get an item, then you can't use it on the next boss.
It happens a couple of times.
Yeah.
Dot, 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 dot.
Are there fewer dots in other languages though? I feel like there are.
I think in the Japanese version it's the same.
Okay.
But it's a lot of dots. Right, so we gotta go find Nightmare.
We're gonna see the same Shine Spark again at the start of this sector. Except this time it's gonna go for way further. Because Nightmare has kind of destroyed this sector a lot. Several of these doors just remain open by themselves, you don't have to open them, which means we can just cruise along here.
Take a nice breather. Here's another sort of obscure item location.
So you can see Plasma Beam doing a lot of damage. These pirates actually have a lot of HP, but a charged plasma tends to kill them immediately if you get a correct angle.
Oh, come on. Let's do that again. That might be too low. I'm not sure.
I think that's fine.
Nah, it's fine. Let's go. It doesn't really take that much time, I guess, but you just want to make sure to hit that as soon as possible. Since power bombs take forever. This one is cursed.
We shouldn't have mentioned that RNG was good.
Yeah.
There's a hidden path above that you can go to get this energy tank, but you can also not fall down and grab it that way.
Yeah, it's faster. Once again, because the bomb fuses are just that slow.
So this is the bit everybody remembers if they played Fusion once.
That was really fast.
It's probably going to look easier than you remember.
Maybe a little bit. It can still be somewhat of a dangerous boss in 80% just because he does a lot of damage, but here we're sort of not scared of him at all.
So Nightmare moves in a very peculiar way, and it's sort of random, sort of. It's you can kind of learn to control him in a way, though he follows Samus in a weird way. So you want him to end up at nice triple double. So you want him to end up at a sort of specific point on screen where he starts moving slowly towards the ladder. You can damage him a lot.
And we saw in the first phase of the fight, Eagle was getting the flare of the Chaikin inside the hitbox of the thing, which is much faster than killing it with missiles.
Yep. Gravity Suit is nothing really interesting, it's the same as in any other Metroid game. It's free movement underwater. And a slight damage reduction, I think?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
It looks way less ugly than Barry, I don't know what you're talking about.
I think they both look terrible. Fusion Suit is fine, but these two are...
This room is generally known as the worst room in the game.
all of these crabs move in random ways and shoot at random times in random directions. It's like you just have to run and hope to not get hit that much.
Freezing them sort of helps, but they're not really in a position to easily freeze them most of the time.
That wasn't that bad.
One thing we saw going into that room, which is like totally counterintuitive to me at least, is in this game you can actually shoot out of space jump without unspinning,
Yeah.
which means you can maintain a speed boost while space jumping and still open a door, which is pretty powerful.
Yeah, you do that by pressing the R button, so it's generally known as an R shot. If I were to just release the B button to fire, I would go out of my spin and also lose my speed boost.
That's the one movement tech actually took out of Zero Mission compared to this game, which is a shame. Sorry.
There's a lot of secret passages in this section, so making sure you get all of them is sort of critical, because there's no really good place to do a detour of this at any point later.
This is actually a part of the game where there is an quote-unquote intended sequence break, where it's technically possible to skip the next major upgrade, but if you do, the game instead rewards you with a cute conversation with the computer about how you should get back on track, and then they lock you out of the rest of the game until you go and get it.
Wow, they spawned on top of me, all of them.
It's extra hilarious because it's the most useless upgrade in the game, pretty much. It's useful in like 2 spots.
Do you need it to beat the game? I can't think of any.
I mean, you need it to get out of where you got it.
Technically not, but yeah.
Oh yeah, almost. But if you never go to that data room, you don't need it anywhere to beat the game. I think you might need it to get like 1 or 2 upgrades, like
Yeah,
one every time.
most likely. Oh, that was really low. Good thing I didn't bot. That's really high, but
both of those were really close.
yeah. I want to keep that speed boost because otherwise I would have to go down into that room and walk all the way to the left to get another speed boost, and that takes a while. So it's important that I hit the little hill before the wall and store this speed boost again. And if I hit the wall, if I don't press down in time, then I just lose it completely.
So we get diffusion missiles. If we charge our missiles, we get a pretty big splash effect on the freeze,
Like that.
on the special freeze effect, so you can freeze things way outside the normal range. You're gonna see that used more times accidentally, just because we're holding R to fire missiles, then we're actually gonna want to use them properly.
Right. Another peculiar property of charging anything in this game, whether it be the charge beam or the diffusion, is that if you start charging through a door transition like this, you'll have it ready by the time you exit the next door. I have to backtrack a bit for this power bomb tank because I couldn't really pick it up earlier, and I don't really enter Sector 4 anymore after this. I do at one point, but only for a split second.
Yeah, that was the last upgrade in Sector 4, so Sector 4 is now fully complete.
Fingers crossed.
Assuming we didn't forget anything, but
I'm trusting you guys to keep an eye out. I'm pretty sure
I'm
I
trusting you
remembered
to do
everything.
your run, but but yeah,
Putting so
as-
much pressure on me.
as far as I know, you didn't miss anything.
No. I know what to do, but I'm being told anyway. And I have to confirm I know what to do. So we had a fight with a machine called Box earlier. He's back for vengeance. And if I kind of messed up the earlier fight with him, and I'm probably gonna do the same thing again because this guy is just the same but worse. His sweet spot is tiny.
He works kind of the same way, where he's really static and always does the same thing if you do the same thing. But he's much harder, and it's a lot more to think about. His attacks are harder to avoid. His hitbox is a bit smaller, and because the room you're fighting him in is smaller, it's harder to hit him and a bunch of stuff.
Does box stand for something?
Not that I know. It's just to make the fun Xbox fun when he's infected by the X-Parasite.
Yep. I'm sure that was intentional. Ah, damn.
You can get any of them. You can. Is it frame perfect? Spring ball out of there?
I have no
It's
idea.
almost anyway. You can get a spring ball out of the tunnel and you don't have to land before, but it's really tight. It might be frame perfect. It's at best 3 frames.
Right, so I make it here, and then I'm told I can't enter, so we're just gonna leave again.
That's a trigger to spawn the boss fight. We have to go down there. Again, these puffers, we want to freeze them because killing them spawns a big poison cloud hit you. That was really good. That was almost perfect.
Yeah, that's decent. You can make him only jump once, but it's sort of really, really tough. This is one dude we can't double in anyway, just because the room is way too small to set up any kind of double, so we just sort of have to do it one at a time, which is pretty simple.
For the record, the fusion missiles don't actually do more damage. It's just an extra freezing effect. Or actually, the diffusion missiles themselves do more damage, but the charging of them doesn't add any damage.
Right.
So when you get the upgrade, your missiles do a tiny bit more damage. Charging them doesn't do anything for damage.
So wave beam allows us to shoot through walls. It doesn't actually like make the beam do more damage. It does the same.
I think it does.
I think it's only the flare that does more
Oh
damage.
yeah, there might be some. Yeah, it's a tiny bit. I think though it's like a bigger hitbox, so it hits more.
Yeah,
like,
that could be the case. But either way, like
it's pretty minor in any case.
the damage it does per frame inside of an enemy is the same. I have to hit another trigger handle that.
Through the door.
Alright.
Yeah.
So jumping through that door makes the Metroids line up really nicely. It's just cosmetic. It doesn't do anything.
I have no idea why that happens. If you jump through the door, they don't line up.
And yeah, you have like a minute timer to get out of there, and we only need like 5 seconds. That's pretty good.
It's pretty hard to get up there if you're
Yeah, that's true.
when you're sort of panicking first time.
On top of space jump being sort of awkward to handle, unless you're experienced with it, and the Metroid's like pushing you and like killing your space jump once in a while, yeah, it can get a little annoying.
I mean, a minute is still really lenient, but
Definitely. So Samus decides to start talking at this point in the game. Finally being fed up with this mission. And who can blame her, really? Of course, if you really like the story, you might want to check out a video game called Other M for the Nintendo Wii. I heard it fleshes out this game in a fantastic manner. I mean, your funeral.
I'm going to not leave a comment. Alright, so coming up are an interesting sort of enemies called the gold pirates. You're supposed to only be able to damage them from behind, like you have to shoot them in the back. But the way the game checks this is just if the game just checks if Samus and the pirate are facing the same direction. So if you shoot a charge beam and then turn around, they die. Even if you shoot them in the front.
But that's still surprisingly tricky because you have to turn around at like a very specific spot.
I mean, it depends. That one pirate is not that hard, but the pirates coming up because you have because you have way less space to turn around in time. It's a bit tricky.
We also saw in the previous room Eagle just jump through a ripper. The collision on frozen enemies is pretty messed up in this game because you're supposed to be able to stand on them, so if you're ever occupying the same space, it pushes you way out.
I mean, they're just lenient so you don't trap yourself anywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you're even remotely trapped, you can just jump and the game's like, okay, cool.
That's the last idol in the game, so we're sort of done with that.
So Ridley...
turn down your...
Cover your ears, everybody.
Ridley takes a lot more damage from charging than missiles. Might be a bit contrary to how you're used to fighting Ridley, but since Charge Beam does damage per frame it's inside an enemy, and Ridley is a really, really big enemy, Charge Beam tend to do about 10 times the damage of a missile per beam. So if you shoot at good diagonal angles and hit a lot of them.
Can I get triple double?
Diffusion? No. Getting doubles with diffusion is actually really tight.
Ah, that was not a double like that.
No.
Okay.
2 doubles maybe?
I got one.
Oh, okay. You know how to do the room with the diffusion part? You didn't shoot the diffusion first time around?
Yeah, I forgot. I'll do it on the way back.
Yeah, you shoot down.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Oh, so she killed all the rivers.
Yeah, some people like to not kill the rivers on the way back. I'm a bit more genocidal.
That diffusion, like the wow, cool game. So that ripple effect, apart from freezing things, it does a tiny bit of damage. It doesn't really do damage, but it does clear missile blocks. So there are 3 missile blocks in a row there. He wanted to clear it. The wave managed to miss the middle one somehow. The game has weird collisions on that.
Right. Anyway, we're sort of done with the main game for the most part at this point. So at this time, we start what we commonly refer to as the cleanup route, which is basically getting all the items that we didn't get the first time around. And the reason it's convenient to grab everything now is because a lot of the items are blocked behind Screw Attack, which is the upgrade we just got. So we can actually get them before now. And since we're like fully upgraded, we move a lot faster and can get by a lot of things a lot easier. So it's just much better to pick up as much as possible at this point in the game. It's also a really nice part of the game because there's no like cutscenes, no stop at Adam or anything. So it's just 20 minutes of like straight gameplay. It's also really hard, but that's another thing.
There are a couple of secret passages between sectors that you need Screw Attack to enter. So there will be no elevators between them either, which is very nice. And most of the really tricky tanks, with like very possibly having transport chains and doing weird jumps, are in this part of the run.
Yeah, if you have like a 98% save file sitting at home from 10 years ago, and you've always wondered how to get the last couple, pay attention.
So we had to visit a lot of rooms we were in before, but we had no way of getting the item until now. Or it's just faster to get it now like this one.
I don't know how much, if any, serious time you want for this.
Maybe just for Sector 6.
I'm thinking Sector 6 in particular. Sector 6 is notorious for being really, really hard to clean. There are about 4 or 5 really difficult tricks you need to pull out. And losing him can cost you a lot of time.
This one is really simple though. Like
Sector 1 is not
this general sector.
Sector 1, Sector 6 and Sector 2 are the difficult ones.
I like to think for this room they sort of run out of ideas where to put tanks and they just put 3 in the same room.
It's sort of interesting though, because when you get there the first time, you can only reach one of the tanks.
That's right.
And
then second time, yeah.
If you get back here later, you can reach another one of them, and then now finally you can reach the third one.
Yeah, I'm sure that's like the intention.
That was the intention, but like you don't come back here a second time, so it just, I don't know, it's...
It does kind of feel like the level designers remembered really late on that they had to have one tank for every percentage, and they were like, oh god,
yeah.
Where do we put the last few?
Like with, for instance, Super Metroid, you don't have like a split between regular missiles and like super missiles, so there's just a lot of regular missile tanks. And there's no like other real ammo upgrades, so they had to place a lot of power bombs as well. You also, I think this is Metroid game where you get the most health.
Probably,
yeah.
I think it's like 2000.
Yeah.
It's like 20 energy tanks.
Wow. Okay.
Oh no.
So because I hit the ceiling there, my speed boost stopped, and that sort of like killed everything. So I'm just gonna make sure I absolutely get enough speed.
We want to do these space boosts that we call like speed boosting with space jump through these areas whenever you can, because Shine Sparks have a very long startup and a very long ending animation. You want to avoid those as much as possible.
On the flip side, you move a slightly faster.
Yeah, you're slightly faster than Shine Spark.
Yeah, so
Doing
maybe if
actual
you want to
movements.
do like really long sections, Shine Spark might be a good idea. But there's not too many of those in this game.
Oh, I got it, nice.
The only mid-air bomb jump in this game, and like it's not really that tricky, I guess, but it's sort of notorious just because it's like
very awkward.
it's the only real mid-air bomb jump you do in the entire run.
It's a very awkward timing.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only reason it's useful is because there's a power bomb explosion going off. You can't actually grab the ledge.
Right.
So without the bomb, you'd have to wait for the power bomb to finish completely.
I'm gonna try a slightly more difficult way of doing this room. It's not too bad, but it does like barely give you enough time. Should be good, I think.
That seemed good.
Yeah, there
Nice.
you go. The timer was basically just about to run out as you entered in.
Yeah, you have barely enough time to do that.
What you can do is simply destroy the super attack blocks, run back a little bit, and then like it's not a big deal. But it does save like, I don't know, maybe half a second doing it this way.
Something like that.
There's a lot of like very tiny time savers in this run, and like it's needed at this point because the game is pretty optimized.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, whoops. And I just wasted all of that time again.
Because again, there are no made like really big time savers anywhere in the speedrun. So it all comes down to like how many tiny optimizations can you do as a runner. And it's gotten to the point where you need to do a lot of them to get the top time. How did I not hit the door?
I know. And since we have like gravity, I'm just gonna walk through the lava and it's not a big deal. As I mentioned like very early in the run, it's generally faster to glue yourself to the ground if you have to go anywhere. Oh, whoops.
Here's the only real example, I think, of ladder jumping that
Yeah.
you're gonna do.
There's like one other place, but it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Now that we have space jump, we can sort of move away from the ladder and back to it again. And like doing that really fast is slightly faster than space jumping. Another example of it being nice that like everything around you moves when you're picking up an item because you can place a power bomb. It explodes just as you gain control again. Here's another sort of well hidden tank. It's like really awkwardly placed.
Is there any safe keeping?
Yeah. This room is basically like if you gave a baby like a level editor for this game and then made them go nuts.
It looks kind of like that.
Yeah.
The
Like
cheap ROM hacker.
I know, you have sort of like the basic features and you just sort of put them together.
And if you want to give a level editor to your baby,
Right.
a new, quite well featured one was recently released. What's it called?
I actually don't know.
Mage, I think?
Mage. Yeah, that sounds right.
I just know it as the one edited by a Spark Mage.
Yeah.
I'm sure you can make a room better than that in like 2 minutes flat.
Send it to Nintendo.
Yeah.
Might get in the next Metroid game.
Alright, so like one of the first tricks we do in Sector 6 is space boots that's fairly long, and it saves a lot of time over a Shine Spark, just because we don't have to like, we can get a, I think it's a power bomb tank on the way, and it's just a lot faster than like shine sparking for it. So I'm gonna go for it at least once because it looks cool. It's pretty precise. I'm placing a power bomb here just to get rid of the enemy. It should be good.
Good. Okay.
Okay, I'll give it one more shot. I want to do it like, I want to be pretty close to the ground for the most part, just because if I'm not, I'll hit a part of the ceiling in the next room and that'll stop my speed boost.
Ah.
Okay, whatever.
Well, we got halfway there.
No clapping.
So you're supposed to speed boost up
Yeah, well you can
all
do
the
it.
way over to this tank,
Yeah.
and not have to do this transport.
But I'm always worried about hitting part of the ceiling because usually I'll press the A button too long to not hit the to not hit the ground. That'll sort of stop it. It's a shame, but like it's one of the most notorious tricks in this sector, and I didn't really want to waste more time on it. There's one other really annoying one that'll come up soon.
I mean, I consider this one coming up really annoying too, but for other reasons.
Yeah. It's less execution, more sort of dumb luck kind of thing.
This tank is so far out of the way of everything else in cleanup. You just have to go all the way over here to pick up one tank. And the worst part is the way you're casually supposed to get it is to do a shine spark up, and that leaves you back in sector 1 with no way back. And you have to go all the way around the entire station.
Yeah, so instead we do this.
So we space jump up there, and we can fall back down again. So it's not terrible, but it's still just way far away from anything else.
In a moment, I'm gonna go for a powerbomb tank where you're normally supposed to wait until an enemy get into position and freeze it, then you can cause sort of a gap of crumble blocks that way. That's really, really slow. So what I'm instead gonna do is attempt a crumble jump, which is a 1-frame trick, and I get a few tries at it. And it's like, even if I fail it like a million times, it's probably still faster.
It's pretty fast to retry. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah,
But it could take a lot of tries, potentially.
When I first played this game, I had no idea about the intended method. I just thought they made it impossible.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, no, a lot of people don't know. A lot of runners just thought that's how you did it, and it's...
Alright, let's see.
Oh,
Oh,
nice!
yes.
And
I'm on the way back too.
Alright, that's sort of a nice consolation on failing the speed boost earlier.
Oh, Redx.
Not that it matters at this point.
You can space boost all the way to the right of this room and collect this tank right away.
But it's not a big deal if you drop immediately, just because you kind of have to activate these stupid triggers.
Yeah, it's another really well-designed room. You have to place bombs in extremely specific places on all the platforms with no indication where they're supposed to be.
Right. And every time you place a bomb in the wrong spot, you just sort of gotta reload the room.
Yep.
There are a bunch of other vertical pillars you can activate instead that just ruin the entire thing, and you have to reload the room in order to try again. And you don't know where anything is, so you just have to trial and error and figure out.
You can't even like exit the room until you get it right, which is really, really annoying. Oh, I got it.
Oh, nice. That's really tight. It saves a bomb on the way, or a screw attack even on the way back.
Yeah.
It's a really like short amount of movement, but you have to do it almost perfectly to be able to get back in time.
That could have been worse.
It's only really the space boost kind of didn't work out.
Yeah, yeah.
Everything else was fine.
Now for the hardest section.
Oh. Can you do this? I know I saw you practice this a lot. Oh, nice. Oof. Good job.
Yeah, we already got everything in Sector 4 earlier, so
There's nothing.
it's just a shortcut.
That wasn't a real crap, not sure if you guys know.
Yeah, that wasn't actually hard.
So everything here is crumble blocks, so it's important I don't land anywhere.
Like, so you can kind of see.
And if I do, it's not a big deal because I have a 1-frame window to jump again.
Oh,
That's
oh.
actually not. Yeah.
It's not a big deal.
If you fall down here, you fall down to the floor and have to go all the way around.
And once again, because you have to drop a little bit with space jump, it's sort of awkward to not hit anything. It's not a huge deal. So the only thing we have left to clean up at this point is one thing in main deck, I think, and then like everything else in Sector 2. There's like one or two annoying things in Sector 2 still, but generally we're reaching the final part of the game. And as you can see, I have a lot of energy, I have a lot of missiles, I have a lot of power bombs, and I'm never going to be able to use all of them.
Some runners sort of make it a point to actually use up all their power bombs before the end of the game.
Yeah.
And they have like a little own power bomb route of where they can waste them most efficiently.
And because you said power bombs, I placed one.
Oh, you placed one. You did a bad placement. Or you're using up more. It's more efficient.
Yeah, I know. That's all right.
The more power bombs you use, the more efficient it is.
When you just watch a run, it's really hard to tell which power bombs do something, which ones don't do anything, and where you can't place one because it will cause lag.
Alright, that's way harder than it looks. You have to basically like touch the crumble blocks for a second, and then jump immediately afterwards, and you have to do it twice because that's the only way to like get under the little pillar. You can also freeze the rippers, but that generally takes a while because they take a while to get into position. So it's not something you really want to wait for.
Did JRP freeze the rippers in his run? Do you know?
I don't remember.
I think so, yeah.
I know with several.
No, I mean he does the jumps, not
Oh,
the
okay,
free.
okay.
I know more than one high-level runner who freezes the rippers.
I mean, I used to do it until like
This guy changed
a
it
couple
pretty
of months
recently.
ago.
Yeah. So we placed a power bomb here like half an hour ago. We break open 2 blocks that we're not gonna pass through.
Must be more than half an hour. ago.
Probably.
Yeah. This one's sort of out of the way too, but it's.
This one's at least interesting. Like it's an interesting route.
Right. But you can't get there until you have screw attack because there's a couple of screw attack blocks there. Getting to the top isn't too difficult or anything, but once I get there, I have to do like a frame perfect shine storage, which I'm gonna pause buffer. And hopefully I get it. If it's not a huge deal if I don't get it, but it does save a little bit of time.
The backup takes like a couple, like 5 seconds extra or something. That seems good. Hopefully. Nice.
Yes. Once again, you just barely have enough time to get there.
How does that even work? So like, you
basically just have a 1-frame window to press down.
on the first frame of the crumble block animation.
It's not like you're only on the chroma box for like 2 frames in the first place.
Can you
So
do that in Zero Mission?
I don't know if there are any areas where that's relevant.
Yeah, but can you do it?
I don't know. I don't think I've tried. Probably.
Alright, so right now we're heading for main deck for the last upgrade, and then it's the final boss. Unfortunately, to get to the final boss, we have to sit through like 3 minutes of text. It's pretty grotesque, but it's something we have to do. Yeah, efficient power bombing. Not that I think I'll get rid of all of them. And as you get like some of the later upgrades in the game, you'll notice that you can destroy a lot of things in this game. Just with screw attack or various other things.
That should be 100%.
Yep. Assuming I haven't forgotten anything.
And there's no confirmation from the game or anything. We could pause to check how many power bombs we have.
I'm pretty confident.
I'm pretty sure you got everything, but like we can see you have max missiles and max health. It should be fine.
If I only got 99%, please don't like lynch me or anything. Oh, speaking of Federation, maybe you'll be able to get some backstory on those in
What's the release date?
September, I think.
September. Nice. That'd be a big step forward for the Metroid
know.
speedrunning community.
You guys are terrible.
It might be really good.
It might be really good. Yeah, okay. But I'm not gonna say any judgment before it actually comes out.
I was like telling people to go buy it.
I mean, I'm probably gonna buy it.
Sure.
We're marketing for Nintendo. They're going to sponsor next year, so.
This text in particular is really long in English. It's like half the length in the Japanese version.
I have to talk to Adam again.
Yep. He locked the doors, so Samus complains.
I guess we can mention, like, for leaderboard purposes, if people are wondering if they should go and order a Japanese cart, technically, the leaderboards are primarily sorted by in-game time, so the language thing doesn't do anything. The main advantage of Japanese is
Your insanity.
yeah, your runs take less long, and you don't. If you don't understand the text, then mashing through it kind of is more fun, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's more artists like try to like subconsciously try to read the text, and it's like really stressful.
Right, the final boss is sort of annoying. It has an annoying setup to quick kill it. I might fail it because like it's not frame perfect or anything, but you have to do some pretty precise shots.
Nice.
If it gets away, it's not a big deal because I can just retry the setup a couple of times.
So SAX takes a lot of damage from your charge beam, but only if it's frozen. So you want to freeze it, and you have just barely enough time to charge full charge beam, get the charge shot in, and then freeze it again. And you can kind of stun lock it in freezing this way. Yeah, it's really precise. Diagonal shots do more damage to it, just because of the properties of.
She was almost dead.
And shooting a straight shot upwards here does a disastrous amount of damage because it jumps along with the shot and it takes a full second of plasma damage. That's 2 doubles.
Why did that tank anyway? Okay, I got 2 doubles, which is not too bad.
Doubles on nice corrects are really hard. I think. I mean, like.
Yeah, sort of a setup for it, but yeah, they're difficult. And now it's sort of for the obligatory countdown sequence at the end of Metroid games. This one is not like quite as lenient, but we should still finish with plenty of time left.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Were you guys around during the time on Metroid 2002 where there was this big discussion on whether the voice here says SR388 or SR388?
No.
No.
It's really hard to tell.
Did we resolve it?
No.
Oh my god.
You can sort of zigzag past those platforms, but it's a little difficult.
Everybody figure out what you think the voice did and tweet it to @ESA Marathon.
Not Paul. We can get. Oh,
Yes.
that's a low high. Nice.
That saves.
7 frames.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to go all the way to the right in this room, so the shine spark way too far, but it saves about 7.
Yeah. You basically avoid sort of bonking halfway through.
Yeah.
I'm dead.
Oh, whoops. Should have avoided that 2000 damage claw.
Yeah.
So this is a scripted event. On Mega Metroid, if you get in a good position, that was not it.
Okay.
You can get the beam to go through it, and it does enough damage to keep the boss continuously staggered, and it can't actually attack anymore.
Are you guys ready on time, by the way?
Time is coming up really shortly.
I'll take those, I guess.
And time.
45, that's not bad.
That's
for
pretty
English
good.
version,
Good, yeah.
Should be a 106 or 107, I think.
It's not half bad.
We'll see. Unfortunately, the credits are kind of lengthy, and we want to sit through them just to see the in-game time. But I hope you enjoy.
I like how this text is slower than the text normally in the game. You can't actually speed like normal text. You can speed up by holding A. You can't do that here. So you just have to wait.
Asking the important questions.
It's getting all philosophical.
I know.
What is Metroiding? Why do we explore? Why do we collect items?
Yeah. Also, I need to see if I got 100%, obviously, but
Yeah, we
Oh yeah, we still don't know.
yeah. The credits shouldn't take more than 4 minutes, I think, roughly.
Yeah,
So
that sounds about right.
we should still hit estimate. Below estimate, even. And this is why I guess I should explore it.
Look at the cute animals.
What's that?
How could you not save that?
Right, well, that's Metroid Fusion. I hope you enjoyed it.
Do you want to give some shout-outs to people? Or do you not like any of them?
I hate all of them, but
Okay.
I mean, who can we talk about?
DRP maybe?
I don't actually know who's like that influential for Fusion, except maybe like Biospark, obviously. He did a lot of stuff for this game, I imagine.
Yeah,
I
mean,
started speedrunning Fusion sort of late. We can also give a shout out to JRP. He's helped me a fair bit with this category. He's the current world record holder.
For every category of this game?
not low percent.
100%.
So only 90% and 100%. Okay, so 2 out of 3 is pretty
Yeah.
okay.
Though the 90% one is tied now by me, so that's
Yeah.
something. Working on it.
So yeah, back in the old days, Biospark and Kirby Master were the people who played this game the
Yeah,
most.
Kirby
and,
Master, who also donated earlier.
He did, twice.
Yeah.
They're the names most people associate with it, I guess.
Also, Jagger G was also one of the
Ah,
OG
Jagger
runners.
G.
Yeah,
Ah,
good old Jagger.
fondly remembered.
If there are swag strats in this game, then it's probably Jagger.
As we wait for the credits to end, I just want to remind you guys, you are watching the European Speedrunner Assembly 2016, benefiting Save the Children.
I love how super stereotypical the last names are of
I know.
translators
translators,
for
yeah.
every language.
I assume that's how they pick them.
But probably that's part of the requirement.
Sure. I guess the credits are slightly longer in the European version. I mean, I've never actually timed them or anything, but
You think they're longer in
Why would it be longer?
Yeah, they because of translations maybe.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Though the music seems to end at the same time, so I don't know.
Maybe they just scroll even slower. I'm not sure.
Yeah, maybe. Sure. Alright, so depending on what CG I get now, we can tell if I got 100% or not.
You get different endings depending
Yeah,
on
that's
your
100%.
So you get different endings depending on your
Ah, it's a 107.
107?
Okay.
So,
Not bad.
That's my PB, so it's okay.
My PB is a 105, just barely,
Yeah.
so it's about a minute and a half slower, something like that. Well, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed it.